Pa 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 da pa pa da pa 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 da pa 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 da pa pa da pa 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 da pa 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 da pa 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 da pa 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 pa. Hey everybody, Dave Canyon here. Welcome to Dumbing It Down with Dave. Today's date is February 1st, 2023. If I haven't said it already, Happy New Year. You really should only have 31 days in which to accomplish wishing Happy New Year. But I know we've spoken, but maybe I haven't said it. I just want to cover my bases. I don't want you to think I'm rude or politically incorrect. I don't want to be, I don't want to shame you or nothing like that. So welcome to Dumbing It Down with Dave. It's a dumbcast in a podcast in a carcast, or it's a dumbcast in a carcast in a podcast, something like that. It's one of those three. And it's also about pragmatism, truth, happiness, and the search for it all. That is the subtitle that we've been using for many years now, and we've been trying to hone in on pragmatism almost more than anything, but of course truth, always truth. I don't think one is more important than the other. And of course happiness, the search for happiness. Do we talk about it on the show? Yeah, I think we do. I think we're on that search for happiness through our pragmatism and because of the truth. It'll set you free. Right? And does it bring you happiness all the time? Well, maybe not in the short term, but in the long term, I think there's happiness. Once you've, made a decision and let's say you've hit rock bottom or you have achieved whatever you have achieved. In this particular episode of Dumbing It Down with Dave, Pragmatism, Truth, Happiness, and the Search for It All, this show is going to be called, I think, something in the way of "This Time I Failed." Yep, this time I failed. I'm on the New York State Thruway, which is where I do my podcast for the most part. 99% of my shows have been in my 2008 Kia Rio LX, which has about 307 or 10,000 miles on it right now, and it's not exactly in hospice, but it does need to have a tune-up. It does need to be looked at. I'm not sure if it's had its last run. I hope not. Actually, I'm going to go to the mechanic after this, who's remodeling his shop. Otherwise, I would have already made an appointment. But he's remodeling his shop. He bought the building next to him, so now he's going to be a 4-bay operation as opposed to a 2-bay operation. And I don't think they're still working on cars until the other 2 bays are done. So I've been hesitant to stop by and make an appointment, but I'm going to do that today because I'm off from work. Because today, so I will, if I can, make an appointment for the Kia Rio, and we'll get that thing back in action. I hate to see that thing go. It's been the source. It's been the home studio for many. It's been my home mobile studio for many of the 300, if not almost all of them, of the 308 episodes I've already done. So today I failed. This time I failed is the name of the show. This time I failed. Why did I fail? Well, every couple of years as a truck driver, which I am, and by the way, though, real quickly, I'm sorry, I got distracted. I forgot. I am southbound on the New York State Thruway. I didn't go to work today. Usually I do the show during my commute, going to and from work. Today I went for a DOT physical. But and I will tell you about that physical in a second, but I just want to give you a quick weather report. The weather is beautiful here in New York. Some people don't like when I give the weather report. Why do I do that? Why do I say the date, February 1st, 2023? And why do I give the weather? You could be listening to this at any time in your life in the next 2 million years, thanks to digital technology and all this stuff. Well, you know what? Because it's part of the show. I want you to know that I'm in my van right now. I'm in my Dodge Caravan, Careavan, Caravan, and it's part of the show. What is the weather I'm driving in? The road is beautifully dry. There's really almost no snow on the ground. We've had a very, very warm winter. We've had a very non-snowy winter, although today we're having a cold snap for the next couple of days. This is the closest we've gotten to authentic winter, except for the snow that we've had. But I can see all the brown grass. I can see all the trees. Some of them still have leaves on it because they're not leafy trees. They're like pine trees or whatever they are. But they're beautiful in New York State. I am on the Thruway. I'm southbound. I'm coming from Albany. I went for my DOT physical. Now I'm on my way home, but I'll stop at the shop and see if I can make an appointment for the Kia. So that's basically the wrap up of where I am, how I am, and why I am. And I like doing it. It keeps the show from being evergreen because now it's dated. But that's fine. I mean, I know that this show has a certain shelf life. And after that, pretty much nobody's going to listen to it. But whatever. For my own records, too, I like putting down the date. Most people don't care. Some people really care. And I've been told about it. And, we don't want to hear about the weather. We're here in this weather. Okay, well, you're more than happy to type into the Spreaker chat, if you're listening on Spreaker, which I recommend, to type the weather conditions and where you are at this time. Iowa, minus 20. Paris, France, whatever it is in Celsius or, yeah. So all that good stuff. So this time I failed. As a truck driver, every 2 years, or now it's going to be 1 year, I have to go for a DOT physical, Department of Transportation physical. And in this physical, the number one thing that they care about, they test you on all these other things, and they do it very poorly. Very poorly. It's almost comical. In fact, it is comical. It's ridiculous. But the one thing that they can hang their hat on, the one thing that they can't wait to destroy somebody's career, and I say that with a lot of exaggeration, they're not going to destroy my career. They're just going to make it a little bit more difficult. And when I say a little bit more difficult, not really difficult at all. It's just that I'm taking a personal affront to what happened today. And I'm not the only driver that would say or do this, but I'm probably one of the only drivers that has a podcast. So I'm going to share with you my disappointment. I'm going to share with you the failure that I experienced and what's going to become of it. So during this physical, the number one thing that they like to hang their hat on, if that's the phrase, I'm not even sure if that's the phrase, is your blood pressure. A person's blood pressure. My blood pressure is high. It's been high for the last 6 years or 8 years. I don't know how long it's been high. But as I got into my 50s, you know what? I would have to look at my doctor's records. I don't know if they're all online. But for the longest time in my adult life, I've had high blood pressure. I've had like that lower level of hypertension. I don't know if you've experienced high blood pressure or hypertension or any of those things, but there are different levels. So I am not at that Olympian level, which is 140/80 or less. The top number was systolic and dystolic, whatever it is. It's not going to be a show about blood pressure. It's going to be a show about me and failing to have an Olympian level of blood pressure. So 140/80, they check off the box. They say, see you in 2 years, have a good day. But today, where's that piece of paper? I hit like 150, I think, over 92, and then it was like 140 something over 90. So, hold on. I'm going to pause this and get that piece of paper so I know for a fact. All right, we're back. All right, I had to reach out. You might have heard the bell going off because I had to loosen my seatbelt, and I might have pulled the muscle in my left leg. It hurt a little bit, but anyway, I'm okay now. So the first one they did when I walk in, the lady let me sit there for a while. I did some deep breathing. I did a whole bunch of stuff today. On my way, it was a 1 hour drive to the DOT place. So the first blood pressure was 150/92. All right, well, that would alarm me too. 150/92 on my left arm. Then the nurse practitioner came in, not a doctor, nurse practitioner came in, and she took a second blood test, a blood pressure test, and it was 140/90. Pretty close. But she said she's not concerned about the upper number. She's concerned about the lower number because it's a sitting heart rate, and it should be less. She didn't say it should be 80. She didn't give me a number, but I know it should be in the 80s at the very least. But it wasn't. It was 90. And then when it was all said and done, she already given me the bad news. I said, can we take one more? Because I think it'll be lower now. But we already had done some stretches. I had to touch my toes and squat and do all these other stupid things. They're really dumb in comparison on the priority of it. I mean, obviously, if you can't do these other things, I don't know. I'm not going to say you shouldn't be a truck driver, but if you can't do all those other things that I did with flying colors, I don't even know you should be a human. You probably have some issues. If you can't turn your head left or turn your head right, if you can't follow her finger, if you don't have peripheral vision, if you can't hear, this whisper test that they still do, it's so ridiculous. If you're colorblind, maybe you have a problem, but only if you have to deal with traffic lights. But for the most part, the top one is green and the bottom one is red and the middle one is yellow. Unless it's reverse. Is it ever reverse? Well, whatever it is, I'm assuming it's universal. The top one is green. Maybe I'm wrong. All right. Well, you know what? I like to admit when I'm wrong. When I'm wrong, I'll have to pay attention. Maybe by the next episode, I would have figured out if there's a universal traffic light pattern when there's 3 bulbs. Okay. So anyway, she said, good news is we're going to reschedule for 6 months. She gave me a card for 6 months. So for the next six months, I still have a job. I'm still the same person. But I got to come back in 6 months. So August 1st, the card that she gave me expires. So we're going to make an appointment for mid-July. And that's it. My blood pressure is too high to give me a year card. They want me on medication. And I'm not a conventional medicine guy. And I did not tell this woman that I'm on medication. I did not tell that to her. I don't want her to know. And I'll tell you why. And I've gotten away with it the last 2 or 3 visits. I've been on the 2-year program because I was able to get my blood pressure low enough for the exam. And then for the rest of the year, I didn't give a hoot. I didn't care. And I didn't really check my blood pressure. Although I would go to my doctor, my regular doctor, who checks me twice a year, and he would say, yeah, it's a little high. But, stay on the lisinoprol, you'll be okay. And he's raised my lisinoprol from 10 milligrams to 20 milligrams. And I think now it's 40 milligrams. Ridiculous. So, why am I doing this episode? Because I'm inspired. I'm inspired, and I want to share this with you, that I failed did I fail? In my eyes, in my head, I can use the word fail. I failed my DOT physical. I now have to go in 6 months, and then I have to go, she said, no matter what, from here on in, for the rest of my life, as long as I'm a truck driver, because I've been diagnosed once, I now have to go yearly no matter what, which is, to me, a money grab. They're not really concerned about my health, and I'll tell you why. Because she didn't offer any suggestion as to how to get better. So, am I an activist? Am I a protester? Am I a letter writer? Am I a guy that wants to raise a big stink? No, I don't. But if I was one of those people that starts a movement like BLM or any of these movements that are going on in the world, civil rights, all these things, I would draft a letter. I would get truck drivers or whoever involved, because as far as I'm concerned, this mostly affects truck drivers. I know it does, because it's a DOT physical. It doesn't affect you if you sit behind a desk. It doesn't affect you if you're a podcaster or a singer. It affects your health, but it doesn't affect your job. So I have to come back in 6 months, but she didn't offer any advice. So if you don't offer any advice, what are you doing? You're like a health cop. Oh yeah, you don't meet the government's criteria. You fail. You got to come back in 6 months. Goodbye. Okay, I get it. I get her job. She's like a hall monitor for blood pressure. I get it. But she doesn't tell you, listen, if you want to pass, here's a booklet. Here's some advice. Here's a program. Here's anything. I'm going to charge your company for the next visit because we don't get these for free. We had to pay for today's visit because the government mandates I go, right, at least once a year. Unless you don't have a problem, in which case they mandate that you go every 2 years. You can't go any more than 2 years. You have to go, as a DOT certified guy, you have to go every 2 years. So this bothers me. I don't think that if you don't offer any help, if you're not the person who is my primary care physician, if you're not really involved in my life, you shouldn't restrict my employment. You're just telling me that I didn't meet the criteria. That's all you're telling me. And I think there's something wrong with that. Because it's obviously not in their business plan. It's not in their game plan. It's not in their expertise. They're the experts at telling me that I'm not healthy enough. So to me, it's a money grab. It's all about the money. Now come back in 6 months and we're going to charge your company again for another visit. And it's not $30. It's $150. It's $225. It's $175 per visit. Plus my company has to pay me. That's their problem. They have to pay me the couple of hours. And I just don't like the way it looks. I don't like the way it smells. I don't like the way it sounds. If I had passed, right? Because I know some of you are thinking, oh, you're just whining and complaining because you failed, which I didn't really fail. I failed in my eyes, but I failed good enough to come back in 6 months. I don't know what would have happened if it would have been worse. They would have said come back in 3 months, which I don't know why that would make any sense. What sense does that make? Come back in a year. Let's try it again. But here's our advice. Here's the programs that we offer. By the money that we make on this visit, here's the attention we're willing to give to you. But they're not going to give me any attention. They just sent me on my way. And there's a clearinghouse where this information goes to. So it's now documented. It doesn't go to this office's clearinghouse. I can go somewhere else. I can go somewhere else and pay for it myself. Here's part of the hypocrisy and also part of the pragmatism. I can go anywhere else that has a DOT certified doctor, nurse practitioner, whatever you want to call it. If I think I'm going to pass, I can go pay for it myself and get a card, right? And then come back and say, listen, I passed. I don't have to wait till July, but I still can't come back in 2 years. No matter what, I can only come back in 1 year. Unless I'm confident I'm going to pass, and then I go to this other doctor, or this other place, whichever place is certified. There are doctors all over that are certified, but my company will only pay for this place. So why would I do that? Do I want to pay? Is it worth it for me to not be inconvenienced every year? No, it's not worth it to me. If it was $30, it would be worth it to me. If I knew I was going to pass whenever, tomorrow, the next day or two, the next month or two, within the next couple of months, and I can go to a place and pay $30 and pass, and then I know that I don't have to go back for another 2 years, yes, it would be worth it to me. But no, it's not worth $150. Not right now, it's not. I might change my tune if I really think that that's possible. I also have to consider how many more years I have left of truck driving. If my goal is retirement in 2 years, I only have to go for my physical 2 more times. Unless I go every 6 months. I don't know how often. I don't know what would happen if I come back in 6 months and they give me the same number. So, what's interesting about this is also part of the hypocrisy, as I look at this pragmatically, right? With honesty, with truth, and I'm searching for happiness. I can eat a cheeseburger right now high in sodium. I can pig out every day for the next 6 months. And then I come back and I fail again. Well, then what? Nobody's monitoring me. Nobody on the thruway, no state trooper, no toll booth collector, no customs agent, no receiver, no plant manager. All the people that I deal with, nobody has any clue except for my dispatcher. Nobody has a clue that I have high blood pressure. Nobody will be notified. Nobody cares. Not that they don't care, that they don't like me, that they don't want to be emotionally tied to me. Nobody cares because it's not in anybody's jurisdiction. That's one word, by the way. I made it 2 words. I'm sorry. I took a little pause. So it's in nobody's jurisdiction to check on David's blood pressure. So to me, that contributes all to this hypocrisy, this idiocy of having the DOT check me, take my company's money, and then tell me I got to come back in 6 months. Do you agree with any of this? Is any of this making any sense to you? Am I wrong? Am I being a whiny little baby? Or am I right in being a whiny little baby? Am I wrong in being a whiny little baby? Or a big baby? Or how do you feel about all this? If you don't know about it, then you can abstain. I guess if that's the word, you abstain. But if you have a similar story or anything, I'd love to hear it. If you're in the Spreaker chat box, Spreaker, Spreaker, it's the best place to listen to the show so you can see what the other people are commenting on. And you can comment as well. Podbean, Podbean, also has a chat box. They don't do it as well as Spreaker. Or you can tweet me at dumbwithdave. The show isn't over, so don't go anywhere yet. It's not that part of the show where I just give out information and you leave. So, yeah, at Dumb with Dave, D-U-M-B. You can email me at dumbingitdownwithdave@yahoo.com. I don't have that voicemail anymore. I have to go get that voicemail back. That's a good idea to have that voicemail. Some of you used it. I can see why you would use it. It was very easy to dial a number and then leave a voicemail, and I would play it on the show. Maybe I'll do that today. I'll go find a Google Voice number or something. If anybody has any good recommendations about voicemails that I could air on the show, let me know. I know Google Voice was one of them, and there was another one that was more of a paid-for service. So let me see if Google still has that Google Voice or whatever. See if I can get a good phone number. It used to be 1-800-something-dumb. I'm dumb. I am dumb, or something like that. It used to be that. That doesn't work no more. They took it away from me because when I stopped podcasting for about 17 months, when I took my podcation. How else can you get in touch with me? Yeah, I'm on Instagram, but the best place to engage with me is, in fact, here in the Spreaker chat box. Definitely in the Spreaker chat box. The other platforms don't have it. I don't know if you have another platform that you're listening on, I'd love to hear which platform you're listening on, because apparently I'm big on Spotify, I'm big on Apple, not big compared to the giants of the podcasting world, but I have a good audience. And I'm kind of curious where you're listening to me on. Well, if you type in the Spreaker chat box, then that means you're listening on Spreaker. I just realized what a dumb question that was. Yeah, if you're typing in Spreaker, then you're listening on Spreaker. My guess is you're not listening on another platform and then suddenly going over to Spreaker to type in. By the way, you can listen to this on a mobile app. You can listen to this. Spreaker is, in fact, online, on a browser, so you can do it there. So what do you think? Dave, you're right. Oh, Dave, I think you got this all wrong. So there's a couple of things I could tell you. Where are my glasses? Oh, yeah, 7 minutes left. Last show we went over a little bit. A couple of things I could tell you is that I was talking to my wife. She was nice enough to call me when I messaged her that I didn't exactly pass, but I didn't exactly fail, and I had to come back in 6 months. She wanted to know how I was doing mentally and emotionally, which was really great. It was really great to hear from my wife. If I didn't hear from her, I would have been fine with that. I would be like, yeah, she knows. This is what I do. I pass, I fail, I drive, I get into an accident, I make a mistake, I don't go to work one day, it's slow, it's whatever. It's like the weather. There are things in the truck driver's life that are to be expected. But she called, and it made me feel good. But one of the things that we talked about, I almost forgot what my point was that I said there's two worst case scenarios here. One that kind of upsets me, but not enough where I said anything in front of the nurse practitioner, and I'm not going to yell about it here. I mean, if you think I'm yelling, believe me, I'm not. I'm talking loudly. I'm talking to the bottom of my phone, by the way. Oh, I didn't give the miles. Let me give, real quickly, a mileage report. Usually with the Kia, I give a mileage report, and somebody actually messaged me once, you should still do a mileage report with the van. So in the 2010, I think it is, could be a 2011, I think it's a 2010, Dodge Caravan, C-A-R-E van, Caravan. My mileage is 122,258 miles. I think I bought this thing at about 80,000 miles about 3 or 4 years ago. I love this Caravan. I love it. I wish I had a fleet. Every time I love a car, I always say, I wish I had a fleet of these. So anyway, that's it, 122,258. I am using this to commute to work, with the Kia being in an assisted hospice. I hope their Kia is. I'm going to go find out here any minute now if I can get an appointment to get the thing looked at. I miss my Kia. Great car. Anyway, I said to my wife, two worst case scenarios. Due to this, high blood pressure, and then I failed today's, or I semi-failed, or I semi-passed. That's a positive way of looking at it. This DOT physical. One, now I got to come back in 6 months, and apparently now, for the rest of my career, I have to come back every year. Okay, instead of 2 years. It really is a convenience to come every 2 years. It'd be even more convenient if I could just mail it in, because I do take a twice a year physical with my primary care physician. So he could just send in, electronically or some other way to wherever this goes, this information, the DMV, hey, my patient, Dave Canyon, his blood pressure was this number, so he's good to go, or he's not good to go, and I have him on medication, or whatever it is that they say. They could do that. But then again, I also see that it could be a conflict of interest where you know the doctor and he likes you, you like him, or you threaten him, or whatever, whatever the story is, with violence, right? And he passes you even though you failed. I could see all of that. I could see the conflict. So worst case scenario, I have to go every year now for the rest of my career, which hopefully is only for another year or two. The other worst case scenario, the real practical, the real pragmatic, authentic worst case scenario is that I have a heart attack, a stroke, and I die. So based on that, I would say that I came away pretty lucky today. So in the pragmatism, truth, happiness and the truth and the happiness and the search for it all, the pragmatic thing is I did it. I did the best I could to pass it. Not the best I could, but the best I could within the last couple of weeks. Especially this morning, I had 2 bananas. I took an extra lisinopril. I drank some water to flush out the sodium. And the key to passing the next one will be way more potassium, way less sodium, if possible, no sodium at all, more exercise, and loss of weight, less wear and tear on the heart. And I'm going to be chronicling it. I think that's where chronicling it. I think what's going to happen is, so first of all, I have a Dave's Fit Life YouTube channel. So if you haven't checked it out, go to YouTube and put in Dave's Fit Life. You'll see some massive improvements we've made. And we have 1 or 2 new episodes up, and we have a short. We're doing shorts now. You're going to see some stuff on Instagram and TikTok. Look for me at Done With Dave everywhere. If you can't find it, let me know, and I'll try to help you out where to go. But this is definitely going to be inspiring for the next 6 months of Dave's Fit Life videos. And I think what I'm also going to do is stay tuned. Right now in my head, I'm planning, where else would it be? Of course in my head, a Dave's Fit Life podcast, which wouldn't be about anything except Dave's Fit Life. To be fit, to be 59 and fit, to be a truck driver 59 and fit, to be a male, to be a human, to be fit. Dave's Fit Life. Look out for that. So I don't know what would be my schedule. I don't know how long the show would be. I don't know if it would be the same thing as this, but not the family stuff, not the other stuff. Just fit life, fit life, fit life. All about being fit, being physically fit, maybe even being financially fit, which is part about being physically fit. Let's discuss fitness in a pragmatic way. Let's get to the truth of fitness. Let's enjoy some happiness because of fitness. I think that right now is going to be the focus. When will be the first episode? I don't know. I'll probably announce it here on Dumbing It Down with Dave, of course, if I've done a Dave's Fit Life podcast. Will it be hosted on Spreaker? I don't know the answer to that right now. This is a good opportunity for me to try out a different platform altogether. Spreaker doesn't have any sort of discount if I do more than one podcast on the platform. And what would it hurt me? I don't even know if this will be a lifetime thing, if Dave's Fit Life will continue on and on and on and on. Maybe I'll only do Dave's Fit Life until it passes. I have no idea. So anyway, got a minute and a half. So that's it. Look forward to that. I'm looking forward to it. If I had passed, I still was. I actually had mentioned this the other day. A couple of friends of mine that I was considering trying to do a new podcast, fresh, right from the beginning, with all the experience I have, knowing all the things I know, and trying to do it right, and get the search engine optimization right, and the audio right, and do everything right, and do it better than Dave's Dumbing It Down with Dave. Because there's a lot of things I didn't do with Dumbing It Down with Dave that I should have done. I should have been more intentional, but I was not. That is, in fact, my word for the year, is intentional. Intentionality. Intention. So I intend to do Dave's Fit Life, the podcast, and I intend to do it better, and I intend to make it popular as possible. But really, my mission is not to make it popular. My mission is to make it useful, to make it resourceful, to make it applicable, to make it respectful, to make it, purposeful, and have people be inspired by it and learn from it. All right, guys, that's it. Welcome to Dumbing It Down with Dave. If you haven't heard before, don't forget, at Done with Dave, Twitter, Dumbing It Down with Dave at yahoo.com, and TikTok I'm on, and all this other stuff. If you don't know where to find me, ask me and I'll tell you. Yeah, that's it. Thanks for listening, guys. Hope to hear from you soon. Take care. Bye. Pa 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 para pa pa para pa para pa pa para pa pa para pa para pa pa.